Hey guys, it's Brett here again, and today's video is a review of Sunday night's WWE pay-per-view, which was WWE Fastlane. Of course, it's the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, so there was a few storyline continuations, some new feuds starting, some matches set for WrestleMania. Basically just a build-up for WrestleMania. There was nothing huge that happened, like the WWE title wasn't defended, of course, because Brock Lesnar doesn't compete all the time. He's got to lose it at WrestleMania, in my opinion, but we'll get to that later anyway. The match got underway. It was, of course, in Memphis. The match got underway, the show got underway even, sorry about that, with a six-man tag match between the three members of the roster that got fired by the Authority in January. The three that beat them at Survivor Series, which, of course, was Dolph Ziggler, who came out to a nice pop. He always does. Fans love Dolph Ziggler. Eric Rowan, who came out really quiet. I mean, people just haven't caught hold of him. Since the Wyatt family broke up, he's been a bit of a shambles to me. Ryback came out, got a slightly decent pop. He got his usual feed me more chance. WWE haven't quite hit as big with him as they thought they were going to. Not sure why, honestly. He's decent, but I just don't like the character, I'm going to be honest. He's not Goldberg. That's just all I'm going to say. So those three going up against three members of the Authority and Big Show, who of course got boos. He's a heel, he's supposed to. Same with Kane and Seth Rollins, who got a lot of boos, which I actually like to see. He's a heel, he's supposed to get boos. And if they're booing him more, it means he's doing it right. Seth Rollins is actually one of my favourite wrestlers. I always like a good heel, but alongside that, he's super talented. And he says he's the future of the company. My opinion, he is. I can't wait for matches between him, Sami Zayn, of course, if you didn't know, was El Generico. Kevin Owens, of course. Kevin Steen in a Ring of Honor. As well as Adrian Neville. Finn Balor, who was Prince Devitt in New Japan. He's incredible. He is my favourite wrestler. He is absolutely incredible, Finn Balor. And then, of course, as well as that, Hideo Itami, who, of course, was Kenta in New Japan. So I can't wait for matches between those lot and Seth Rollins. They're just going to be incredible. Throw in Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan into that mix, and the WWE has a ridiculous amount of talent coming up. As well as they've just signed Yuha Nation as well. Hopefully they can sign Ricochet from the independent circuit. And they'd have a top-notch roster coming up. Although, honestly, I'd keep him in NXT at the moment. NXT is so good. The whole show, women's wrestling. But anyway, that's another day. We'll do a video on NXT separately. So the match got underway. Dolph and Seth started the match. Dolph took control originally, hit a huge dropkick before tagging in Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan basically used the match to show off his power as well as his athleticism. He hit some nice drop kicks, a couple of spinning kicks as well, but showed his power throughout the match on people even like Kane. And he took control of the match. He did a clothesline to Big Show to send him out the ring. And he hit it. Big Show goes out the ring. Ended up lined up perfectly on the post. Rowan went for a spinning heel kick basically onto the ring post. Big Show managed to move. Rowan's knee hit the ring post, injuring Rowan's knee. As the match went on, the Authority then took it to Rowan's knee, decided to beat it down. Big Show hit some submissions on the knee just to wear him down. You saw that Eric Rowan was in pain. It was a good job of selling, in my opinion. But Rowan managed to turn the tides by managing to tag in Ryback, who just took control of the match. He took control so much so that he went for a shell shock on Seth Rollins, but just before he could hit it, J&J Security dived in the ring. Of course, Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury even dived in the ring and distracted him, and Seth Rollins managed to roll off the back and roll up Ryback for a 2 count. After the 2 count, Seth Rollins immediately got back up and super kicked Ryback's head off, basically. Ryback was on his knees. I absolutely love that super kick. He hits it perfectly. The sound when it hits is incredible. That was a 2 count as well. After that, Seth Rollins went for a top rope move. He tried to dive off the top rope. Ryback caught him, hit the shell shock, but before he could go for the pinfall, the Big Show dived in and hit a big splash, squashing Ryback basically, which is going to happen when you got the world's largest athlete in the ring. Ziggler came sprinting in, hit his signature DDTs and super kicks. That DDT he does when he dives, when he jumps up, catches them in the air, and then dives straight back down, spikes them straight on their head, is incredible. It's so powerful looking. I love it. When he hits it perfect, when he spikes them straight on their head like that, it is perfect. So that happened. He went for the Famouser on Rollins. But before he did that, he jumped into the corner to beat down Kane. But before he could start beating down Kane, Big Show came sprinting across, hit him with the KO punch, which I hate. I hate that. It's like, it's not convincing it's going to knock anyone out. We see punches in wrestling all the time. I just don't believe it, but hey, they're sticking with it. The KO punch on Ziggler in the corner, which of course he was then rolled up for the pinfall by Kane. 1, 2, 3, the Authority wins. Of course, that wasn't enough for the Authority. After the match, Seth curb stomped Dolph Ziggler to boos of the crowd. Double choke slam on Ryback from Kane and Big Show. J&J Security beat down Rowan before he was curb stomped by Seth Rollins as well. Ryback then got a curb stomp. As that was all going on, the crowd started chanting, "We want Orton." His music hit and he came sprinting to the ring. A nice pop for once. The crowd was really lifeless today at the pay-per-view. But nice pop when he came out. He came sprinting out. He cleared the ring and then RKO'd both J&J Security. Of course, as soon as he hit the ring, Seth Rollins sprinted out of the arena, which I do and I don't like. It shows that Rollins doesn't want to get in a fight with him, but it just makes him out to be a big wimp, basically, which I'm not sure. When he's Mr. Money in the Bank, I don't see the point of it. Alongside that, Randy Orton hit an RKO to Kane and then started celebrating. The crowd were going nuts. It was good to see. So there's the first match out of the way. Let me move my notes down to the second match. Before the second match, there was a promo for the Gold and Stardust match, including Dusty Rhodes, where Dusty Rhodes tried convincing him out of the match. Goldust said that he's going to whoop Cody or Stardust so bad that Cody will have to come back. I'm really not into this feud. I don't like the Stardust character. I was never a huge fan of Goldust anyway, so I'm not a big fan of the Stardust character. I really like Cody Rhodes. He's a super talented wrestler. And I like Cody Rhodes as Cody Rhodes, not as Stardust. But hey, we'll deal with it. I'm sure the feud will continue to WrestleMania. I'm not really going to speak about the match much. It wasn't that interesting, I'm going to be honest. And it actually ended up with a botched finish. I think it was Goldust rolled up Stardust, or Cody Rhodes, whatever you want to call him. It looked like it should have been a 2 count. And I think the ref was trying to get that as well. He counted to 2. Looked like they should have kicked out. Cody kicked out late. And by the time he had kicked out, the ref's hand had basically touched the floor. And the ref had to call a 3 count. You saw the reactions after the match, and it wasn't great. It did look completely botched. You saw the replays afterwards. The ref didn't even get his hand down, and he looked a bit shocked. Even the commentators noticed it and said that the ref didn't get his hand down. So I don't really think it was supposed to happen like that. How it was supposed to happen, I don't really know. Goldust might have supposed to win anyway, so it might not have affected it that much. But just the reactions of everyone just looked like a botched finish, and it was a bit dodgy, to be honest. After the match, Stardust shook hands initially with Goldust and then walked out. Had enough. After the match, you saw a promo where Stardust beat down Goldust in the back and then told Dusty that he had killed Cody and that Cody wasn't coming back. So again, I'm not too into the storyline. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the storyline. I'm sure some people like it, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. So let me move my notes down to the next match. The third match, which was tag team title match, which was a match I was looking forward to. As you see, I've got my Usos shirt on. I like the Usos. They're an exciting team. Of course, the Sons of Rikishi. They were the defending champions, coming down to the ring with Naomi and her giant ass. But hey, that's another story again. They were going up against the new team of Kid and Cesaro, which I really liked them as a team. Their gimmick, I'm not sure of, with coming down to the ring with headphones. I really don't understand. But they came down with Natalya Neidhart, of course, is the wife of Tyson Kidd. I really like this tag team because both Tyson Kidd and Antonio Cesaro are super talented wrestlers. And they really work well together, both technically brilliant. The match went on, not too many things to speak about. It was a really good match. Just there was so much happening, it's hard to speak about. The match basically showed some great double team work, as usual, by the Usos. Perfectly in sync. And then great technical work by both Kidd and Cesaro. Kidd's submission moves and transition moves are incredible. He is so good at it. You can tell he was trained by the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart. The momentum shifted throughout the match. Cesaro showed really good strength throughout the match. Both Kidd and Cesaro ended up showing good double team moves as well, showing they were perfectly in sync. They ended up winning the match after a dive to the outside by Jimmy Uso, I believe it was. He dived to the outside, and then Jey Uso, I believe it was, picked up Tyson Kidd on the outside and hit a Samoan drop onto the barricade, which was a really nice move, I must admit. And then Kidd managed to reverse the big splash inside the ring for a 2 count. After that, Kidd was working Jey Uso, but Jey Uso turned the match around, tagged in Jimmy, and Jimmy then went to take out Cesaro on the outside, went for a super kick. As he was distracted, Tyson Kidd managed to hit the rolling neck breaker on him and pick up the pinfall victory, which was really good to see. So we got new tag team champs in Tyson Kidd and Antonio Cesaro. I'm expecting a rematch at WrestleMania because it was a good match. Maybe there'll be another team thrown in there, I don't know. But it's good to have new tag team champions. The tag division's been a bit lackluster lately, especially since they got rid of Justin Gabriel too, and Evan Bourne. I think we could add a tag team of Justin Gabriel and Evan Bourne. I think that would have been really good to see. Of course, Evan Bourne is now Matt Sydal again in the indie circuit, and Justin Gabriel is PJ Black. So make sure you check them out. They're both on Dragon Gate and Evolve as well. So we went to the next match, which was supposed to be Sting Triple H. Triple H comes to the ring dressed in street clothing rather than wrestling clothing, which initially signalled to me there was not going to be a match tonight. Instead, he cut a promo on Sting saying how Sting's legacy is going to be ruined, but they can still work together and save Sting's legacy, even though Sting was Mr. WCW. Stuff like that, it all went on. Sting managed to come down to the ring, basically turned it down, and then Sting went to take it to Triple H, but before he went to beat him down, Triple H hit him on the head with a microphone, knocked him down. Triple H rolled out the ring, picked up his signature sledgehammer, went to beat down Sting with it, but Sting caught him by the throat with his signature baseball bat, pinned him into the corner, pointed to WrestleMania, symbolising a match at WrestleMania. Triple H agreed, and we got news later in the night that is confirmed, and it is going to be a match between the two at WrestleMania, which is where the match probably should have been anyway. I mean, it's all well and good having Sting make appearances at pay-per-views, but it really should have been at WrestleMania anyway, and I think that's the right decision they've made. So we moved on to the next match, which was the Divas title match between Paige, who came out looking hot as ever. I really like Paige. She's a good-looking girl, but she's super talented in the ring as well. Her and AJ, in my opinion, 2 top divas in the WWE, as in the main roster. But they've got some super talented girls in NXT. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Bayley, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of Bayley. I really am looking forward to Carmella. Of course, she's in a team with Enzo Amore and Big Cass. So keep an eye out for them. But these two, Nikki Bella and Paige. Of course, Nikki Bella was escorted to the ring by Brie, as always. Paige got a nice pop. The crowd are behind her. People like Paige because she's a bit different. As she says, she's the anti-diva. Nikki Bella didn't really get much of an ovation. She's not really liked. She's not that great of a wrestler. She's not bad, but she's not great. The match went on. It was a bit of a boring match, I must admit. Nikki Bella hit a nice Alabama slam on Paige for a 2 count. Unfortunately, she couldn't get anything more than that. Paige came back with lariats and drop kicks. She almost hit the PTO, almost made Nikki tap, but Nikki managed to get out of it. And then off the top rope, Nikki hit a delayed sunset flip powerbomb for a 2 count, which was a really nice move, I must admit, and was a bit surprising. Paige ended up beating Nikki by a roll-up, which she kind of grabbed the tights. They were making a big deal saying she grabbed the tights. She didn't grab an awful lot. And that's how she won. And it was just a really poor finish to a decent match. I think the feud will continue to WrestleMania, no doubt. Wouldn't surprise me if AJ comes back for it as well. But it was just a poor finish. A lot like a lot of the matches on this card, there were poor finishes. Sorry about that transition, guy. My camera died, so I had to restart recording that. So we got to the IC title match, which of course between Dean Ambrose and Wade Barrett. Ambrose entered to a nice pop. He's a really liked superstar. Of course, he came from the Shield, but also he's got a not good character. He's a bit edgy, a bit of a brawler, so he's a bit different than your usual standard character like Wade Barrett, who's just your boring straight edge guy. Of course, I do like Wade Barrett. He's got the perfect build for a wrestler, but I just think he needs to develop his character a bit more. I'm supposed to like him because he's English. I'm not into it. Just like I really don't like Sheamus, like a lot of people. I think they made a big mistake by letting Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre in WWE away. I think he was probably the most talented of the 3 British wrestlers there. They all came from the same training academy, all came over at the same time. And I think letting him go was the biggest mistake. If they were going to let anyone go, I'd have let go of Sheamus. But Wade Barrett definitely deserves a push. He just needs to develop his character a bit more. Of course, he's now known as Bad News Barrett, which I really don't like. I don't see the point. Especially, you might as well just call him Wade Bad News Barrett. What's the point of getting rid of the Wade completely? But hey. So anyway, the match went on. Nice back and forth to start the match. Nice back and forth exchange. Both men showing their brawling ability. Throughout the weeks, Barrett has looked a bit scared of Dean Ambrose since Ambrose beat him. Ambrose took control to start with, but Barrett then changed the momentum by hitting a huge big boot off the top rope. Ambrose was sat on the turnbuckle, and big boot by Wade Barrett sent Ambrose to the outside. Barrett took control, throwing him into the steps and the barricades before putting him back in the ring, showing Barrett's strength, which was a very good thing. Ambrose did a great job of selling it as well. But after that, before they got back in the ring even, Dean Ambrose hit his signature clothesline, which of course is the one where he rebounds into the ropes and then comes back and gives the big lariat. Great example I showed there. But he did that, but instead of going through the ropes, because he was on the outside, he used the apron and the bottom rope to do it. It looked really cool, to be fair, on the outside, and was a nice effect. I really did enjoy that. He then did a tornado DDT inside the ring before using his typical brawling style to take control of the match. Barrett then went for the winds of change to try and change the momentum, but Ambrose managed to reverse it for a 2 count off a roll-up, and then hit his signature elbow drop off the top, the one that he hits on a standing person, for a 2 count as well. But Barrett managed to change momentums, hitting the wasteland after reversing another one of the signature lariats by Dean Ambrose, and that was a 2 count. Barrett then set up for the bullhammer elbow, but was rolled up by Ambrose for a 2 count, and then Ambrose finally hit his signature lariat, which was good to see. Barrett rolled out of the ring after that and went to leave the match after escaping dirty deeds, but Dean Ambrose hit him with a suicide dive, which he always does through the middle ropes. Ambrose was then DQ'd because he pulled Barrett back into the ring after he kept trying to escape, put him in the corner and just beat him down. The ref disqualified him. Another terrible end to the match. Ambrose, after beating Barrett, hit the dirty deeds, he ended up taking the title off Wade Barrett and walking out. So he's got the IC title, even though he isn't the IC champion. But it was just a terrible end to the match. It might as well have ended properly, even with a proper DQ using a chair or something. But just a beatdown, just a bit of a waste in my opinion. Of course, it means the feud will continue to WrestleMania, but it just wasn't what I wanted to see, I must admit. So we moved on to the next match. Before we got to the next match, we had a good segue, to be fair. It was a gothic entrance, just like the Undertaker's, the pallbearers, I guess. Not the person pallbearer, as in the people that carried the coffin, came out, and it looked like the Undertaker was coming, the steam was coming, Undertaker's music hit, it was getting really eerie, the commentators were getting into it, the crowd finally started getting into it, the Undertaker's gongs hit and then his music hit and the suspense built and the crowd started going nuts. The casket was brought out, which brought more suspense. It got brought all the way to the ring and you're thinking, oh, the Undertaker's going to get out, he's going to get out. He didn't. The casket opened, Bray Wyatt sat up in it, much of a surprise. He got booed, of course. It was a good thing. It was a good effect, I must admit. It was very good to see. Bray Wyatt is finally getting used. He's really talented. He's really charismatic as well as good in the ring. He really needs to get a better push, I must admit. Killing the Wyatt family was a really bad thing to do, in my opinion. He should have had a feud with Sting when Sting came in and then taken the feud to The Undertaker now. But Wyatt challenged The Undertaker at WrestleMania, saying he's not scared of him anymore because Wyatt is now the new face of fear, which is true. And it's set up for a good match at the WrestleMania, which we're hoping to see. It's not 100% confirmed yet. Hoping to see The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Hopefully Bray Wyatt can pick up a victory, handing The Undertaker his second loss at Mania. If not, I hope Undertaker makes Bray Wyatt look top-notch and only just beats him, or even ends up Bray Wyatt getting disqualified or something like that, not just beating down Bray Wyatt. It could end up with a really good matchup. So we moved on to the next match after Wyatt was put back in the casket and exited. The next match was the US title match, which I guess is the semi-main event, between Rusev, of course accompanied by Lana, who looked incredible as ever, going up against John Cena, who I'm not sure what's going on with John Cena. He's not in the main event picture anymore. He's not challenging for the WWE title, which is good. He shouldn't always be challenging with it. I'm not a Cena hater. I'm not a Cena lover. I don't mind him. He's done a lot for the business. I just don't think he should be at the top all the time. There's talented wrestlers that should be getting more of a push than he is, like Daniel Bryan, even Roman Reigns. But I'm not sure what they decided to do with him. They're putting him up against Rusev. I think it's to build Rusev with more of a monster and more credibility. Hopefully they don't hand John Cena the US title anytime soon. They didn't in this match. So let's get on to that. Rusev entered to boos, of course. Lana was shouting as usual. There was loud USA chants started as well. Cena entered to his usual mixed reaction. Of course, the Let's Go Cena, Cena sucks chants. That was going on throughout the match. Rusev started the match with a huge... Cena started the match actually with a huge right hand to Rusev, which was unusual to see. It was actually good to see. It showed a bit of aggression by Cena. But the whole match, Rusev showed his strength and dominance and his athleticism as well. It was throwing Cena around like a rag doll, but it was hitting these stupid kicks. They were all over the place. They were unbelievable, some of them. There was a drop kick. He jumped like level with the head of John Cena, hit this perfect drop kick. A man of Rusev's size shouldn't be able to do that. Rusev looked top notch in this match. There was a lot of beatdowns by Rusev. He sent Cena into the barricade. He hit spinning kicks. He completely took control of the match, which got the fans frustrated with both him and Lana. Cena tried coming back, but every time he tried coming back, Rusev just completely ruined it. He hit his big submission, which of course is the Accolade. Hit that twice. Cena managed to get out of it. Cena then finally hit his signature comeback, which was actually met with boos because no one likes the Cena comeback. It's the same thing every time. He did manage to hit a huge clothesline for a 2 count. Then went for the AA, but he was hit by Rusev with a big DDT for a 2 count. Rusev started crushing Cena in the corner, got another 2 count. Cena then went for another AA again, but Rusev managed to fall off the back, hit a huge super kick again for a near fall. Cena then followed it up with a DDT off the top rope for a near fall. Lana looked terrified at that point. She thought her client was going to lose. Cena managed to lock in the STS in the middle of the ring, but Rusev's power was again on display. He just managed to completely break out of it, and then ended up hitting a big Alabama slammer, if you're copying JBL, for a 2 count. Rusev then began to work Cena's back, of course, setting up for the Accolade again. But Cena managed to catch a boot, lock in another STS, but Rusev this time managed to crawl to the ropes. Cena pulled him up, hitting an AA finally on Rusev for a 2 count, like a big 2 count, like a full-on near fall. It was good to see Rusev kick out of it. I really thought that was going to be the end of the match. Great to see Rusev kick out of it. Cena then went to the top rope, but Rusev caught him in midair, hitting a huge powerbomb and then locked in the Accolade submission in the centre of the ring. Cena managed to break out of it just because he was beginning to reverse it. Went to pick him up, and as he went to pick up Rusev, Lana came in the ring with the title, distracted the ref, can't blame him. And Rusev let go of the hold and low blowed with a big kick to the balls, basically, of Cena, before locking in the Accolade again after a huge super kick to the head. Cena didn't tap out, which I was a bit disappointed in. He passed out, pulling a Stone Cold, like Stone Cold did to the Sharpshooter against Bret Hart. Difference is, that looked super cool. This looked a bit pointless. It was all about Cena never giving up, but at the end of the day, it still goes down as a submission. And I didn't really like it. I didn't like the finish. I liked the result, and I liked the fact he won by the submission. Even the distraction I liked, because it meant that Rusev gets that big push because he's beat John Cena. He also is shown as ruthless. He'll do anything to win. Same with Lana. Cena isn't completely buried or destroyed, which he was never going to be. But I would just rather Cena have had to tap. Like there was no escape when Cena had to tap. But again, it continues the feud. I'm sure this match will probably continue to WrestleMania. No doubt Cena will probably win at Mania. I hope not. I hope they keep pushing Rusev as this undefeated monster, much like Goldberg was. I really hope that happens. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. We moved on to the main event then, which of course was the match between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Of course, Reigns won the Royal Rumble. Bryan got a push basically because the fans love him. Reigns needed a bit of credibility, and this match gave it him. I must admit, this was a top-notch match. Of course, it was billed as power versus ability, physical toughness versus mental toughness, technical ability by Daniel Bryan, of course, going up against brute strength of Roman Reigns. It was a good match, and it lived up to all of that expectations. Throughout the match, Roman Reigns showed his power, but also showed a bit of technical ability as well. He was throwing Daniel Bryan around like a ragdoll. But the good thing about the match, Bryan wasn't buried. He looked top-notch. In fact, he looked in control of the match most of the time. He was beating down Reigns with the kicks. His technical ability was incredible. I mean, some of the moves he used were absolutely fantastic. And it showed both men as top-notch wrestlers who should both be in the main event at Mania. Of course, only one of them is going to. Reigns got a bit of a mixed reaction. Most of it was cheers, to be fair, but there was a few boos. I don't think a lot of the frustration is actually with Reigns winning the match. I think it's the fact Daniel Bryan went out so early and it was a terrible end to the Rumble, of course. But I think the right man won. In my opinion, the more believable man to beat Brock Lesnar is Roman Reigns, not Daniel Bryan. I love Daniel Bryan. He's one of my favourite wrestlers. As you can see, I've got my pop vinyl figure of here of Daniel Bryan. I've seen him wrestle as Bryan Danielson as well. I love him. I think he's incredible. But am I really supposed to believe that a man the size of Daniel Bryan, even with all the ability in the world, is strong enough and tough enough to beat someone like Brock Lesnar, who's great at the technical stuff, but also is a freak? So I don't really believe that. Whereas Roman Reigns can stand toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar and take it. He might not be as technically sound, but at least there's that bit more believability that he can beat him. So let's get on with the match anyway. D-Bry took control by showing his wrestling ability, using technical holds, takedowns. It was good to see. But Reigns, of course, kept powering out with kidney shots and breaking holds, showing both Bryan's technical ability, but also the power of Reigns. Reigns started taking control of the match as he clotheslined Daniel Bryan out of the match. And then picked up Daniel Bryan on the outside, drove him into the barricade before driving him back into the apron. It was showing the power of Reigns again. Bryan managed to take back control using kicks to start weakening the legs of Roman Reigns, which is what you got to do against a power athlete. Then Bryan started to work the legs more with technical submissions. Good to see. Some of the holds, I don't know how he does, but they're just incredible. Reigns showed his power again to keep countering these submissions. He then hit a big Samoan drop, which shifted the momentum. But as the momentum began to shift, D-Bry hit a big drop toe hold into the corner, face first into the corner on Reigns. But Reigns shifted it straight back with a huge clothesline, which span Daniel Bryan around completely. He completely flipped. It was a great clothesline, completely took his head off. Reigns started showing his power then, using suplexes, including the triple rolling suplex, much like this triple suplex that Brock Lesnar uses. Not quite as explosive, but still good to see. It showed the power and some new moves being added by Roman Reigns, showing he can wrestle, and he has got ability. Reigns then lined up the apron dropkick, which he hit Bryan square on the head, which is that one where he runs around the side, dropkicks on the apron. And then hit a Superman, then started lining up a Superman punch, but Bryan managed to counter the punch with a huge kick to the rib cage that injured Reigns. If you actually look at it, he hits the liver. It wasn't quite the rib cage. It almost looked like it hit the bladder. It was a really devastating kick, and I actually think it did do some proper damage. But Reigns did a great job of selling it. He really showed how much it hurt. Bryan took control at that point. He started using his knees to the rib cage of Roman Reigns, and then some big kicks into the corner. Reigns looked badly injured, and then took 3 huge sprinting drop kicks in the corner from Daniel Bryan. They were massive. They were fast paced and big drop kicks. Bryan then continued the assault with some more kicks. He put Reigns onto the top rope and went for a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. Of course, Reigns reversed it, showing his power with a super power bomb from the top rope for a 2 count. But Reigns couldn't capitalise straight away from that as he was injured, so he couldn't do anything with it. He did then manage to take back control with some big shoulder blocks to Daniel Bryan in the corner before a huge punch to the top rope. It was massive. Reigns then went for a superplex off the top rope on Daniel Bryan. Bryan managed to reverse it and hit a suplex of his own off the top rope for a near fall. It's good to see. Again, it showed Bryan's technical ability, but also showed him as strong. He can lift the big men. He can use power moves of his own. Bryan took control again. He locked in a yes lock in the centre of the ring, but Reigns' power was shown again as he just easily managed to crawl to the ropes. Bryan continued his control with a suicide dive to Reigns, rolled back in for a second suicide dive, which he hit, rolled back in again, went for a third suicide dive, but this was fantastic. Reigns caught him in midair, hit a huge belly-to-belly suplex on the outside. It was perfect, and it was a great explosive move. Again, showed the power of Roman Reigns. It was perfectly executed as well. Reigns then went for a shoulder charge into the steps on Daniel Bryan, but Bryan managed to slip out the way. Reigns went straight into the steps. Looked like he injured himself again. Reigns was almost counted out, but managed to slide in at 9.5. The official actually delayed his count. If you're going for the count out there, Reigns should have been counted out, but you could tell that's not how the match was supposed to finish, and Reigns managed to slide in at 9.5. Bryan went for the flying headbutt as he rolled in, but Reigns countered with a huge Superman punch in midair for a near fall, for a 2 count. Reigns then set up for a spear on Bryan. Bryan managed to counter with a roll up for a 2 count, and then hit his huge kick to the head, that signature kick to the head, roundhouse kick to the head on Roman Reigns. And then Bryan lines up in the corner for the running knees to the face. He started the yes chants. Bryan hit the running knees to the face. Reigns managed to kick out at 2, becoming the first WWE superstar to kick out of those running knees to the face by Daniel Bryan. I didn't know that, but Michael Cole informed me, and I've got to trust him. This is awesome chant started beginning around the crowd, which was good to see. It was a really good match, I must admit. Bryan then began his signature kick sequence, of course, when the opponent's on his knees. He kicks to the chest and then goes for the final kick to the head. Reigns used his power and managed to catch the final kick, but Bryan reversed it again and managed to lock in the yes lock again. The move was locked in tight, and Reigns looked like he was going to have to tap, but Reigns managed to use his power to break out of the hole, and then some vicious forearm shots to the head while he was mounted on top of Daniel Bryan. They were really vicious, and they looked like they did some damage. Bryan managed to lock in another submission in the middle of the ring, but Reigns managed to lift him up with one arm, slamming him to the floor, which was vicious. The ref counted to 8 before both men were able to recover and exchange blows. Bryan again gained control with his signature kick to the head. It was a vicious kick. He went to the corner, lined up for those knees to the face again, started the yes chance again, looked like he was going to win. As he began his sprint, Reigns reversed it with a huge spear for the win. The crowd cheers. Finally, crowd had got behind Roman Reigns because of how good he looked in the match. Daniel Bryan did a great job of selling and making Reigns look good, whilst making Daniel Bryan look legit as well. Daniel Bryan looked top notch. In fact, he looked like he was going to win the match. But the match made Roman Reigns look legit. It gave him some credibility. He had beat a top guy in Daniel Bryan, showed his power, but showed he's mentally tough as well. Showed he can take a complete beat down and still manage to pick up the win and hit that spear out of nowhere. After the match, both men lined up. It looked like Bryan was going to go after Roman Reigns, but instead Daniel Bryan just told Roman Reigns he must kick Lesnar's ass, and then shook his hand, and Reigns continued to celebrate. So a really good end to the pay-per-view. Bit of a lackluster pay-per-view. The crowd weren't really into it, but the final match made up for it. So we got some Mania matches completely confirmed in Triple H, Sting, Lesnar, Reigns. Also looks like there's going to be a Wyatt Undertaker match, which will be good. Probably going to be a Paige and Nikki Bella match, possibly with AJ Lee. Probably going to be a Usos versus Kid and Cesaro rematch again. That wouldn't surprise me if it's on the pre-show. And then, of course, the John Cena-Rusev match, which is probably going to happen as well. I'm hoping to see a Dolph Ziggler versus Daniel Bryan match as well, or even Dolph Seth Rollins or Daniel Bryan Seth Rollins. I think that will be top-notch. But we've got all that to look forward to. So the next pay-per-view I'll be reviewing, of course, is WrestleMania. I'll also be doing a review for Ring of Honor 13th anniversary next week. So definitely make sure you subscribe. Leave in the comment section what you thought of this video. And I'll see you later, guys.